Pennsylvania. It's the year 1859. Rain fell softly across the muddy forests as workers stood silently beside a strange wooden drilling rig. For weeks, they had been drilling deep into the earth, searching for something most people barely understood. Then suddenly, the ground exploded. Thick, black liquid burst violently from beneath the surface. Oil. At that moment, nobody there could fully understand what they had unleashed, because this wasn't just another resource discovery. It was the beginning of a new civilization. A civilization powered by engines, factories, highways, war, and global industry. For the next 100 years, oil would become the most valuable substance on Earth. It would create billionaires, build empires, start conflicts, transform transportation, and reshape nearly every aspect of human life. Modern civilization wouldn't just use oil, it would depend on it. Before oil, the world moved slowly. Cities were darker, travel was harder, industry was limited. Most transportation still depended on horses. Across Europe and America, streets were crowded with wagons, mud, smoke, and animal waste. Factories existed, but energy itself remained a problem. Homes relied on candles and whale oil lamps for light. Ships crossed oceans using wind. And while the Industrial Revolution had already begun, human civilization was still operating with limits. Everything required enormous labor. Then humanity discovered something buried deep beneath the earth, a thick, black liquid that burned hotter, cleaner, and more efficiently than almost anything before it. At first, oil seemed useful only for lighting lamps. Nobody yet realized they were staring at the fuel of the modern age. As news spread across America, oil fever exploded. Small drilling towns transformed almost overnight into chaotic industrial settlements. Wooden towers filled entire landscapes. Mud roads became crowded with businessmen, laborers, speculators, and fortune hunters. Everyone wanted oil, because suddenly oil meant money, massive money. Some became rich within months. Others lost everything chasing the boom. The air smelled of smoke, sweat, petroleum. The ground itself seemed to bleed wealth. And then humanity made an even bigger discovery. Oil could power engines. That realization changed everything. By the late 1800s, as inventors across Europe were experimenting with a radical machine, the internal combustion engine. Unlike steam engines, these new machines were smaller, lighter, and dramatically more efficient. For the first time, vehicles no longer needed horses. Suddenly, machines could move independently. Early automobiles were loud, dangerous, unreliable, but they represented something revolutionary: freedom of movement. Then came Henry Ford. And once Ford introduced mass production through the assembly line, cars stopped being luxury toys for the rich. They became products for ordinary people. Millions of engines suddenly filled roads across America, every one of them hungry for fuel. Oil demand exploded, roads expanded, factories expanded, cities expanded. Oil wasn't simply fueling transportation anymore, it was fueling industrial civilization itself. By the early 1900s, oil had become something far more dangerous than a resource. It became power, and few men understood that better than John D. Rockefeller: quiet, disciplined, relentlessly strategic. While others chased oil fields, Rockefeller focused on controlling the entire system: production, transportation, refining, distribution. Through Standard Oil, he built one of the most powerful monopolies in history. At its peak, his empire controlled nearly 90% of America's oil industry. The wealth was unimaginable. Entire fortunes rose from the ground. Cities grew around refineries. Skylines expanded. Banks financed industrial expansion, fueled by petroleum wealth. Oil transformed businessmen into industrial kings. And nations were paying attention, because whoever controlled oil could control the future. Then came the wars, and suddenly, oil became more important than gold. Modern militaries depended entirely on fuel. Tanks, aircraft, warships, supply trucks. Without oil, modern warfare collapsed. During World War II, entire military campaigns revolved around securing petroleum supplies.
Wir müssen die sowjetischen Ölregionen einnehmen. Jawohl, mein Führer. Die Kaukasusölfelder
Hitler
sind
pushed toward
priorisiert.
the oil fields of the Soviet Union. Japan faced devastating oil shortages after American restrictions. Global superpowers realized a terrifying truth. Energy was now geopolitical power. Control oil, and you controlled economies. Control oil, and you controlled war. The modern world order itself began revolving around energy. Today, oil is woven into modern civilization so deeply, most people barely notice it. Look around you. Plastic products, synthetic clothing, air travel, shipping networks, modern agriculture, highways, skyscrapers, global trade. Even the food system depends heavily on petroleum-based fertilizers and transportation. Entire economies operate because cheap energy made mass production possible. Oil helped build suburbs, highways, airlines, container shipping, globalization itself. Massive modern cities became possible partly because of abundant fuel. The modern world wasn't built only by technology, it was built by energy. And for over a century, oil became the foundation beneath it all. But every revolution comes with consequences. Oil created extraordinary prosperity, but also pollution, environmental disasters, political corruption, economic dependence. Entire nations became trapped between wealth and instability. Wars were fought over access to energy. Economies crashed when oil prices collapsed. And now, humanity stands at another turning point. Electric vehicles, renewable energy, battery technology. The world is slowly searching for what comes after oil, but whether civilization eventually moves beyond petroleum or not, its impact on human history is undeniable. Oil didn't just power machines, it powered an era. History is often shaped by invisible forces. Coal fueled the Industrial Revolution, oil fueled the modern world, and somewhere right now, another resource, another technology, another energy revolution may already be emerging, because the rise of civilizations has always depended on one thing: the ability to harness power. Oil changed the modern world forever, not because it was rare, but because humanity built an entire civilization around it. And once civilization becomes dependent on something, that thing begins shaping history itself. If you want to understand the hidden systems, industries, and innovations that built the modern world, this is Wealth Origins TV, and the next great story is already unfolding.